Writing this week's EastEnders review was no easy task, mainly because watching events unfold in Albert Square was quite a challenge. But don't get us wrong, that's not a criticism. The fallout from Joel's brutal assault on his stepmum Vicki was far from pleasant viewing, yet it was impossible to look away. With Joel behind bars after the savage beating, poor Vicki was rushed to the hospital, Tommy turned his friend in, and Ross, along with the rest of Walford, was left in utter disbelief. And honestly, we were just as stunned by some of the reactions around the square. Aftermath of Joel's rampage. Vicki's condition was dire following Joel's attack, and we all breathed a sigh of relief when she stumbled into the Vic and the ambulance finally showed up. Sadly, her bruises were only the surface of the trauma she endured. The emotional scars ran much deeper. At first, Tommy tried to shield his mate Joel, but as he began piecing things together, it dawned on him that Joel's version of events didn't add up. After a heartfelt chat with his big sister Zoe, arguably her best moment since returning, Tommy made the brave decision to tell the truth. Meanwhile, Ross also stepped up and handed over Joel's incriminating videos to the authorities. Joel was livid, but it had to be done. Credit where it's due, Tommy's courage deserves real praise. It's never easy to stand against your friends. Facing Walford's fury. Now, Ross certainly isn't winning Father of the Year anytime soon, and he's undeniably part of why Joel turned out the way he did. Still, the Beals had some nerve being so judgmental, as did the Slaters, and frankly, half the square. Let's not forget that Bobby Beale literally killed his sister. Not by mistake either, and he even attacked Jane with a hockey stick. Yet everyone managed to forgive him. And Kathy, while we're on that topic, Ben isn't exactly a saint. If memory serves, he's also taken a life. And where were you then? Oh right, busy pretending to be dead yourself. Yes, Joel is despicable, no question. But maybe the good people of Walford should take a long, hard look in the mirror before hurling stones. Oscar, Jasmine and Nigel drama. Oscar's pursuit of Jasmine continues to be equal parts adorable and mortifying, but dragging poor Nigel into their little flirt fest this week was not it. We get that Oscar meant well, at least we think he did, by urging Nigel to sell his car to fund Julie's dream trip to India. Still, something about it felt off. Their interaction was painfully awkward, borderline manipulative, and honestly uncomfortable to watch. Definitely not Oscar's best move. Harry's ongoing nightmare. Please, can this dreadful storyline just end already? We can't stand it anymore. Though, we'll admit, there was a faint glimmer of hope this week. Gina finally seemed to sense that something is seriously wrong with her man. Gina, please follow that instinct and save him. We're begging you. Ravi's inner struggle. One element we are enjoying is Ravi's tug-of-war between his criminal life and his role as a devoted father. Things reached breaking point when Avani discovered Joel had secretly filmed and leaked their private moment online. Naturally, she was devastated and turned to her dad. Ravi came through for her, though Oki didn't take it well. Could this spell trouble for Ravi? While Nigel's storyline still isn't quite winning us over, Julie's comeback has been a delight. Her scenes with Jean offered a much-needed breather from the chaos. More of that wholesome energy, please. Callum feels caught in the middle as Lexi continues to reject Johnny. Callum feels conflicted as Billy puts his foot down about Johnny. Next week in EastEnders, Callum finds himself caught in a painful tug-of-war between his family and boyfriend Johnny as Lexi continues to push the newcomer away. Things take a turn when Billy steps in, warning Johnny to stop trying to win Lexi's affection with expensive gifts, leaving Callum feeling even more torn. Could this be the beginning of the end for their romance? Lexi's life has been thrown into chaos since learning about Callum's affair with Johnny. With Ben now demanding a divorce, there's seemingly no saving the once-loved Ballum relationship, and Lexi is laying all the blame squarely on Johnny's shoulders. Determined to get revenge, Lexi decided to take matters into her own hands. She stole Johnny's phone and sent an email to the last 50 people in his contacts list, branding him a fat pig who steals other people's husbands. Her cruel plan worked. Johnny was swiftly fired from his job. Even after losing his position, Johnny refuses to give up on earning Lexi's approval. But in upcoming episodes, she's still not having it, keeping him firmly at arm's length. Elaine and Callum urge Johnny to focus on something positive instead, like a potential business venture with one of his old clients, Tim. With Elaine tagging along for support, Johnny heads to the Vic to meet Tim. The meeting starts on a cheerful note as Tim pops open a bottle of champagne and charms Elaine with his easy confidence. But things take an unexpected turn when Callum walks in. Caught off guard, Callum quickly realizes Tim isn't quite what he expected, and he doesn't trust him. Suspicious that Tim might be taking advantage of Johnny, Callum voices his concerns. Still, Johnny decides to ignore the warning and agrees to go into business with Tim anyway. Could he end up regretting that choice? Later in the week, Callum decides it's time the Mitchell clan gave Johnny a fair chance. Hoping to build bridges, he invites Billy and Honey round for dinner at the flat. But when Johnny tries once again to impress Lexi with an extravagant present, Billy loses patience and orders Callum to put an end to it. Despite Billy's warning, Johnny later wins Lexi's smile back by promising to take her to a concert. Callum can see how happy she is, yet Billy's harsh words continue to echo in his mind. Will Callum stand by his boyfriend or take his family's side? All the biggest plot holes in Hostage storyline as Harry's captivity continues. Not everyone's buying it. Harry Mitchell remained trapped in Oki Okiere's clutches in EastEnders this week, as Ravi headed off on a family getaway, leaving his second-in-command in charge. Before departing, Ravi made it clear that Oki was to free Harry, but his orders were swiftly ignored. Instead of following instructions, Oki decided to keep Harry imprisoned a little longer, chaining him to the radiator before heading out on a date with Gina. Left in isolation, racked with despair and frustration, Harry turned to drugs as a means of numbing the pain. And according to EastEnders spoilers for next week, Harry's ordeal is far from over. It appears the nightmare will continue for some time yet. However, not every fan was thrilled by recent developments. Here are 4 of the biggest plot holes viewers have spotted from this week's episodes. 1. Who's actually working at the Arches? With Harry still captive and Kojo nowhere to be found, off in Cardiff for a car show apparently, the big question is, who's running Phil's garage? Not to mention Phil, both of his employees, Harry and Kojo, are missing. Who's managing the Arches? One viewer wrote on X. Another added, I'm shocked Phil hasn't noticed Harry and Kojo's disappearance. Phil might be abroad, visiting daughter Louise in Portugal, but surely he'd still be keeping tabs on his business. Why has no one in Walford questioned why the garage has been left completely unmanned for so long? 2. The mystery of Nicola's disappearance. Also missing from action is Harry's mum, Nicola. She previously cleared her son's debt with Ravi to secure his freedom, but that didn't seem to extend to Kojo or the flat. Has Nicola simply assumed everything was fine and walked away? Do they think Harry's still in Cardiff for the world's longest car show? Where's Nicola? She'd break down the door for her son, one frustrated fan wrote. Another posted, can't believe Nicola is nowhere to be found while her son's being held hostage. And a third chimed in, doesn't Teddy, Barney, Nicola, George or anyone care where Harry's gone? Like Phil, Nicola's supposedly out of town visiting her sister. But given the chaos before she left, it's hard to believe she wouldn't have checked up on Harry. The same goes for Teddy and Barney. How has no one seen through the flimsy Cardiff cover story yet? 3. Harry's suspiciously clean shave. At least the show has learned from Bianca Jackson's Hostage storyline. They've remembered to include a bucket in the room this time. But that still doesn't explain how Harry's facial hair remains so neat. That well-kept goatee isn't exactly convincing for someone held captive for over a week. Harry's been locked in that room for days, but still looks freshly pressed and spotless, one viewer joked on social media. 4. Why isn't Harry fighting back? Finally, there's the issue of Harry's passivity. The same Harry Mitchell who once looked like he could take Ravi in a fight, now seems content to sit chained up without resistance. Harry isn't even trying to escape that room, one fan observed. Another said, "He's a big lad. Surely he could pull that chain straight out of the wall." "Sorry, but no way would that chain actually hold him," added a third, while a fourth pointed out, "That loose chain around his leg would just slide off easily." Yes, Oki has backup and is keeping Harry subdued with drugs, but the fiery, strong-willed Mitchell we met last year wouldn't just lie there and accept defeat.